Hello again, everybody out there in the card universe. This is RJ doing a post today for Rick from Vintage Oddball Cards. He has hit his 1,000th subscriber and is having a contest. He has asked that we post cards of players we despise or we hate. It could be any reason, just that we show some cool cards of people we don't like. So I decided on 10 as a good number. I thought it was a nice round number, and some good cards I can show you that I have of people I don't like. I decided to do this from eras, so I'm going from more recent players down to more vintage players. So we'll start with some modern day people. I do not like Juan Soto. Juan Soto annoys me to no end because he's just so arrogant when he's up at bat, and his smirk, his sneer that he does to everybody when he's playing, when he's batting against the pitchers. And you can say that's good swagger and you guys like it, but I'm a Phillies fan, so I want to hate my other NL East teams, so I'm not a fan of Juan Soto and the Nationals. So boo Juan Soto. Next, Jonathan Papelbon. Papelbon was an absolute ass as a pitcher. He was very much a me-oriented kind of a guy, all about himself, all about getting the ball when the closing opportunity, when the save opportunity was there, thinking he was all that, and it makes me laugh to think that he was all those great years with the Red Sox when he was good. So, end of 2011, the Phillies win 102 games. We signed Papelbon. He's thrilled. He's coming to the team that just won 5 straight division titles and just won 102 games. And in 2012, we go 81-81, and from there we keep losing left and right. We go through a long period of time when we haven't had a winning record. I think we're still there. I don't think we even had a winning record last season. Papelbon comes over. He's all pissy and moaning because he can't stand being on such a losing team. Then he goes over to the Nationals and he gets in that fight in the dugout with Bryce Harper. Papelbon was just a jerk all around. A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez. I like this oddball kind of a card. This is from his 2004 MLB Showdown, the card game card. Never liked Alex. When you got Derek Jeter, you got Cal Ripken as people to admire, and then you put him up against Alex Rodriguez. Rodriguez is just annoying. He could have been a good guy, but I think he got a little surly towards the end. Certainly had the steroids issue, so I'm not a fan of Alex Rodriguez. Mitch Williams. A lot of people in Philly now have come around, and we love Mitch as part of our history and all that, but this was a guy in his prime with the Phillies, 92, 93, when you were just scared stiff to see him come in as your closer. You never knew what you were going to get. I mean, I don't know how many people he killed with heart attacks because he was so bad, but I despise watching Mitch Williams come into the game, I mean, he blew away 1-2-3 in Game 6 of the NLCS back in 93. But then in 93 World Series, he gives up the home run to Joe Carter. And I remember watching the documentary. Ray from Philly, you've probably seen this 1,000 times, the documentary about the Phillies in 1993. And he was saying how he was done, he was spent, and why did they take Roger Mason out? And everybody, even Fergosi in that documentary, say, well, Roger Mason did his job. Well, yeah, but you knew that David West was done. You knew Larry Anderson was done. You knew Mitch Williams was done. Why would you take somebody out who's doing a dang good job and put in a reliever who's got nothing left just because that's what you're supposed to do? No, it was the wrong move for Fergosi. It was the wrong move, Mitch. I don't care what you guys say. But Mitch and his heart attack lifestyle just drove me crazy. So no thanks, Mitch. Barry Bonds, another one of those guys that I couldn't stand because he was so arrogant, and he wanted that home run record more than anything else. I don't think he cared about wins, the World Series. I don't think he cared about the fare of his team. I don't think he cared about anything about other than breaking Hank Aaron's record, honestly, towards the end. That's all that mattered to him. and he always fell apart in the playoffs and the World Series. That was his rub, and it was so true. This is his 93 Fleer, the Atlantic gas station edition, so I was not a fan of Barry Bonds. Never have been, never will be. Don't care if he ever gets in the Hall of Fame, so be it. Roger Clemens, another one of those guys who was just a jerk all around, just the whole thing with Mike Piazza and the bat, the whole steroid whining about that. And, will he eventually get in the Hall of Fame? I don't care. He was really good. You can't deny his ability, but just as a person, I think he was a pain in the butt, and, so be it, so be it. Dwight Gooden. Now, here's a guy I don't want to say was a bad guy. You can say what you want about the drug use and other things, but he was a fairly good guy. I just hated him as a Phillies player back in the mid-'80s. You got to remember, the Phillies went to the World Series in '83. That was when Gooden was just coming up, was '83-ish. And from '84 on, Dwight Gooden owned us. I mean, he had the most amazing stuff, and that was the lean years of the Phillies. So it was like watching Gooden come in and just beat the piss out of us. It was not a fun time for me as a Phillies fan. So I hated Doc Gooden. Not a bad guy per se, but not a fan. Ricky Henderson. I do have Ricky's Rookie. This is not Ricky's Rookie. I didn't feel like pulling that out. This is one of his Topps Archives reprints. Ricky Henderson, I never forgave him, or not necessarily forgave him. I hated when he broke Lou Brock's record, and Lou's standing right there with him as they celebrate and all that. And he goes, Lou Brock was the greatest, but now, and the greatest of all time. I mean, be a little more humble about it, Ricky. Plus, again, he was another member of the '93 Toronto Blue Jays that spanked us in the World Series, so I don't like him for that. But it was mostly the way he treated Lou Brock when Lou was standing right next to him. Maybe he was right. Maybe it's not a bad thing, but I never liked it, so I'm not a fan of Ricky. Paul Molitor. Let's keep in fashion with the '93 World Series issues. Paul Molitor owned us in the '93 World Series. He got the MVP for that fact, and I hated him in that World Series. Hated him. I mean, he's a great player. I love him as a Hall of Famer. He tried to be a good manager once in a while, but hasn't had much luck. But, in the '93 Phillies, couldn't stand Paul Molitor. I was watching Ray's video for the same post, and Ray picked Joe Carter because of the '93 the home run. But Joe's a likable guy. I like Joe. I don't say I hate him. I hate Mitch for giving up the home run. I don't hate Joe for hitting it. So Paul Molitor is another guy. And for the '93 World Series, I hated him in that World Series. Lastly, vintage player, Billy Martin. Billy Martin was an absolute jerk. I mean, there's lots and lots of stories about Martin. I can't remember who the guy was. He was returning a bat to somebody and then cold cocked the guy on the mound. He got a lot of serious lawsuit and lost a lot of money on that one because he literally broke the guy's eye socket with a punch out of nowhere. Somebody out there knows who it is. I can't remember the whole thing. I'd have to look it up. Then there was the bat. I think it was his '72 manager card, the middle finger down on the bat knob. His constant arguments with Steinbrenner, attacking Reggie in the dugout. The George Brett pine tar incident, if you remember what that was, Martin knew for a couple days, a couple months even, that George Brett used too much pine tar in his bat. And he didn't say anything because he was waiting for just the right time. He was waiting for just the right moment where Brett would do some damage, then he'd pop out and say, hey, that's wrong. And he did it. Total jerk move. So many things about Billy I didn't like at all. He was a great player. If you're a teammate of his, I remember hearing Mickey Mantle's story. You check that out on YouTube, the Billy Martin shooting the mule story. I'm not going to go through it here. The players loved Billy Martin, loved to play for him if he was your manager, but I am not a fan of Billy Martin. So there you have it. Those are 10 people, 10 players I hate. I am not a fan of for Rick and his 1,000 subscriber video, vintage Oddball cards. So I appreciate you listening. Take care.